he's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, what do I do? What do I do? So Jay is pissed that his box is gone. He's like, what the fuck? You lost my box? It's so small. That's why I made it so small. So she's like, okay, I'm not gonna like refuse the food. I'm not gonna offend this guy. So I'm just gonna have to suffer through the salty ass food. You ever heard the saying bros before hoes? Of course you have. You have the internet. Well, today I'm about to tell you the original bros before hoes story. It's a folktale originating from India and it has a lot of different twists and turns. So buckle up. But first, if you don't know who I am, hi, I'm Nikki, and I like to talk about things on the internet related to history. If that sounds cool to you, then definitely feel free to like and subscribe. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so first and foremost, our main character of this story is King Ali Mardan. One day he was out in the forest hunting with some servants, with some followers of his, and suddenly they heard crying, like a little girl crying. And they're like, what's going on? We're hunting here. So they halted all of their efforts for hunting because they're like, we don't want to hit this little girl with some arrows. So let's look at what's going on. King Ali is like, okay, hold up, guys. I'm going to go investigate. So he takes a look and sure enough, there's this little girl crying. He goes up to her to find out what's wrong and like, why is she alone in this forest, you know? Well, she said that she was one of the handmaidens of the Emperor of China, and she said that she was wandering around his giant estate and then got lost. I guess she was so lost that she found her way in India. It might have been in the southern area of China and then in the northern area of India. But also, like, the northern end of India has a bunch of, like, the Himalayan mountains, so I don't know. I digress. She was just very lost, okay? King Ali Mardan, being the gentleman that he is, he was like, hey, girl, you're so pretty. I can't let you die of starvation out here. Come with me. Chivalry is not dead. So he tells his servants, hey, let's take her back with us. Treat her with the utmost grace and care, okay? So they take her back to his summer palace with these beautiful gardens and sprawling fruit trees, fountains. Ugh, everything is just gorgeous. A lady's dream, honestly. I wish my man could give me all that. Or I wish I could give myself all of that. But in this economy, come on. Anyway, King Ali is enamored with her. Because, right, she's beautiful. So, duh. He's like, oh my gosh. Ugh, gorgeous. Throughout the next couple of months, he keeps falling head over heels for her. One day, a couple months down the line, though, another servant comes by from a different estate, and he comes by and he stumbles upon the gardens. This other servant was on his way to fetch some water for his boss. And of course, he sees the beautiful gardens and the fountains in King Ali's estate, and he's like, I'm just gonna hop the fence and get some water from the fountains. You gotta work smarter, not harder. Well, he got over the fence, no problem, but he was so astonished by everything in the gardens that he forgot about his original mission. He was like, I'm gonna get the water, but let me just look around first. It's probably the first time he's ever seen something so cool. Like, King Ali is a king, right? So he can afford a lot. Anyway, eventually the servant from the other guy, he's wandering around. He finds this nice shady tree. He's like, oh, I'm tired and weary from traveling. I'm just going to take a rest underneath this tree. And he falls asleep. Well, King Ali comes by and he's like, who is this random man in my garden? Instead of just like immediately getting pissed off and flying into a rage, King Ali was actually pretty smart. He like sneaks up to the sleeping servant and he grabs whatever was in his hand. Because the servant fell asleep and he had like this little box in his hand. It was like really small. So King Ali sneaks this little box out of his hand before he wakes up. The servant wakes up and King Ali is noticing like, whoa, he's like panicked that this box is gone. Something impressive must be inside of it. But when King Ali opened the box, there was nothing really super valuable inside. It really just looked like some ointment, like that you would put on your face or something. It smelled really sweet, like there was some maybe rose water in it or something. I don't know. So King Ali is like, back up. You are trespassing on my land. Why is this box so important to you? What are you doing? Well, the servant says, oh my gosh, that box is my master's box and it contains this healing ointment. It will shield anyone who has it from harm. And I was on my way to go and find some water for my master so that he could make more of this ointment. He'd be able to mix it with the rest of the powder that he has, so then he could create more boxes or, just have more of the ointment. King Ali's like, what? I don't believe you. A healing ointment? What are you talking about? But he's like, okay, I'll play along. And he says, okay, if your master really is as cool as you say he is, and he has all this protective stuff, he's like maybe a wizard or something, cool. Then I will let him have his box, but he has to come get it for himself. The servant's like, okay, I guess I'm put between a rock and a hard place. He's looking up at King Ali with like all of his, like big bodyguards and stuff next to him. What is he gonna do? So he's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go back and tell my master. But it takes this man 2 years to get back home. Bruh. Like, what was he doing? I guess without this like healing protective ointment, he couldn't like rub it on himself or something and then be let alone by all of the scary stuff in the forest. Like, creatures were probably coming up to him and like fucking around with him. That healing ointment must have been real good, I guess. Anyway, and then my other question is like, why did he have to travel so far for some water? I digress. I'm ruining the story. I'm sorry. This whole time, like while all of this is happening, King Ali is growing in his interest for this beautiful woman that he had discovered earlier. She's still living in his summer palace. But at this point, something weird starts to happen. So he's enamored with her, he's falling in love with her, but he isn't happy. And he starts to look a little weird too. Like there's this stony look in his eyes, some might say. Weird. Let's shift our focus back to the servant's master. We'll call him Jay. So Jay is pissed that his box is gone. He's like, what the fuck? You lost my box? It's so small. That's why I made it so small. Can't trust these bitches with anything. So of course, he storms down to King Ali's palace, and King Ali treated him really well with nice fairness and promised to return the box. Okay. But the second Jay saw the king, he was like, whoa. Something's not right with this man. Is he okay? And after a while of talking to the king, Jay's like, I'm sorry, Your Highness. Can I just ask if everything's okay? Side note, if somebody just randomly asked me if I was okay, I would legitimately just start crying. He flipped it and reversed it. He's kind of just like, you look really pale. Are you okay? And you have this like weird blank stare in your eyes. And finally, Jay asks, do you have a strange woman in your palace? The king was like, what? Yeah. How does you know that? And Jay's like, no biggie. I just spend my free time learning about these crazy witches and whatnots. What have yous? King Ali tells him his story about finding the beautiful woman just in the woods. And Jay's like, King Ali, that is no beautiful handmaiden from China. That is a lima, a 200-year-old snake that can shapeshift into a woman. What? Plot twist, right? At first, King Ali's like, no, I love her. I can change her. But eventually, Jay convinces him that at least give him a chance to show that this girl is crazy and not what she says she is. And he's like, okay, I can do something to show you that this bitch is indeed a snake woman and not just a woman. So finally, the king obeys and agrees to do whatever Jay tells him to do. Jay tells him to make this khichdi, which is an Indian rice dish. It's like yellow and buttery, and you can like, if you stir it really fast, then it turns into this like porridge kind of consistency. It's very good. Well, one is to be made sweet and the other one is to be made very salty. The king and his lady friend sit down together to eat dinner that night, and the king is eating the sweet one, and they give the snake lady the salty khichdi. They eat their meals in peace, but she is suffering through it, right? She's like, oh my God, it's so salty. But she sees that the king is enjoying his food. And while she might be a snake or a snake lady, she's definitely not rude. So she's like, okay, I'm not gonna like refuse the food. I'm not gonna offend this guy. So I'm just gonna have to suffer through the salty ass food. I guess 200-year-old snakes can also have manners. So that's kind of cool. Okay, but fast forward to nighttime. After dinner, she is trying to fall asleep, but she's like, oh my God, I'm so thirsty. I need some water. She sneaks out of the king's room and she's like, hey, I'm gonna hunt for some of this water. And she walks out into the garden. The garden is illuminated by moonlight. And when the moonlight falls upon her, you can see her true form. So the king is peeking after her and he sees her just illuminated by this moonlight and turn into a slimy, slithering snake. And he's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, what do I do? What do I do? So he suffers through the rest of the night, knowing that this like weird snake lady is sleeping next to him. But Jay and the king come up with a plan. They make this really fancy oven, okay? And a giant padlock and some giant chains. And the king is like, giant snake baby, let's go wander around the gardens for a day. Let's have a cute date night and a picnic. Okay. Very cute. And then he goes, oh my gosh, we can cook our own food later for dinner. It'll be so fun. It'll be a fun date night. And she's like, okay. Well, they get back from their little roaming around the gardens, and King Ali is like starting to make some bread, which kind of goals. I just want to pause for a second. While King Ali might be kind of not picking the best of women right now, he is very nice, you know? Like he's not ordering her around the kitchen or anything. He's making his own bread. Gotta love him. Anyway, at first, the snake lady's like, no, I don't really want to help you with the bread because I don't like ovens that much. But after some convincing, she was like, fine, okay. I guess his probably justification was what I just said, like, well, I'm making some of this, but can you help a little bit? And I think you know where this is going. But King Ali pulls a complete Sweeney Todd move and yeets that bitch into the oven and locks the door. Jay and the king cooked this bitch for hours. Okay, they're like, we gotta make sure she's dead. Eventually, they peek inside and they see the only thing remaining were her ashes and this one round stone. And Jay picks it up and he says, this is the essence of the snake lady. Whatever you touch with it will turn to gold. Again, King Ali just being a cream of the crop man. Because he takes the stone and he says, no, I'm not letting this item cause any envy, battle, or murder. So he throws the stone into the river lest it should bring any more hatred to the world. Dang, I hope that King Ali Mardan got a better lady. Because he really seemed like a solid dude. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. That is all I have for you on King Ali and the Snake Lady. Definitely let me know if you enjoyed this video. If you want me to tell you more about other fairy tales and folk tales from other cultures, I would love to do that. I found this wonderful website where I had found a bunch of different stories, and I never really even thought about learning about folk tales and stories from history from all of these different cultures. So I'm very excited about it and just perusing on this website. So yeah. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!